Hi, it's Anathea, your divine feminine educator. And as soon as I went live, my phone started ringing, and I'm not going to answer because I'm here with you. And what I'm going to talk about, I'm setting a healthy boundary with my phone. So what I'm going to be talking about today is setting healthy boundaries and what you actually need to know. Now, this is a huge subject, and most people think setting healthy boundaries or setting a boundary is what they're actually doing is creating a barricade. So, do you know how to set a healthy boundary? Do you know what's involved in setting a healthy boundary? Have you ever set a healthy boundary for yourself? And what were the consequences? And I'm talking about boundaries, not barricades. We set barricades up all over as a way of a defense mechanism to let people know what upsets us. Passive aggressive behavior, black and white thinking, setting up barricades, silent treatment, that kind of thing. That's not what setting healthy boundaries is about. And if you learn how to set healthy boundaries, what you're going to realize is it takes courage. It takes learning a new language. It takes getting to know yourself on a deeper level. So the three things that I want to talk about today in regards to setting healthy boundaries is number one, you need to know your yes and your no. Number two, literally work the muscle, activate it. And number three is create a deeper relationship with yourself. So there's only three really big things, but there's so many more. But I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about these three things. So number one, in order to set healthy boundaries, you really need to know your yes and your no and be able to communicate it. If there's something that you don't want to do, you need to be able to say, I'm not available for that and not feel guilty. You see, we have in our society this cultural behavior called people pleasing. And if you can, it's nice to be helpful to others. Of course, it's beautiful to be of service to others. And, our society and our culture thinks that we're selfish if we do things for ourselves. But it has to be a balance. And, this chronic people pleasing or martyring yourself, when you give of yourself, but you know that you really shouldn't have because you're sacrificing either your own personal health or your own balance or your own time that you don't really have, then you're not helping anybody. So understanding, being able to really tune in the moment and know, can I do that? Can I say yes to this? Can I commit to this? Or should I say no? And being able to say no and feeling okay about it. One of the things is sometimes, especially if you're an empath, that you feel the other person, so you feel obligated and you do want to help them. And so you say yes when you really meant no. Or you say no when you really meant yes. But this one is, you say yes when you really meant no. What you can do instead, because in the moment you're feeling their situation and inherently you want to help, get used to, instead of saying yes when you really want to say no, instead say, can I think about it? Or I need to think about it. We're talking, thanks for being here. Please make a comment. We're talking about setting healthy boundaries. And I'm talking about three things that you must know. The first thing is knowing your healthy yes and your healthy no and healing yourself from people pleasing. And so a good way to do that is to get used to, instead of saying yes when you mean no, get used to just saying, you need to learn these words as, can I think about it? Or, let me think about it and I'll get back to you. And 9 times out of 10, they'll probably even find someone else to help them, or they won't need whatever they're asking of you, or they'll forget about it, So give it space. Give it time. Don't say yes when you really want to say no, or you will regret it later. So that's number one. Really being able to communicate your healthy yes and your healthy no. Number two is activating your voice. This is the 5th chakra. And this is your chakra of voice, being able to communicate clearly, right? And I just slipped my words as I was saying that. But the 5th chakra is not only about communication, it's about aligning your will with divine will. So this is the chakra of personal will. And really, when you are working in a way in your life that your will is really aligned with divine will, it's a beautiful thing. Then you're going with the flow of life. But when you're trying to push your will on someone, or somebody else is trying to push their will on you, that's a fifth chakra issue. So it's literally working the muscle. So how can you work the muscle? Engage in singing, engage in chanting, engage in having the courage to speak your truth. One of the things that really works is, I love this phrase, is, that doesn't really work for me. And you don't have to say it in a mean way, but instead of doing passive aggressive behavior, someone, for example, if somebody arrives late and they have a lame excuse and it really inconvenienced you, and then you do a week of not talking to them and thinking bad of them, or 3 hours of not talking to them, if this is your intimate partner. Some couples have, like, they don't talk to each other for a week or a month, right? The silent treatment. That blocks off your fifth chakra. You need to be able to be in your center, not blame that other person, but let them know that what you want, what you need, what you probably need in that situation is reliability and timeliness. So when you can start opening up your voice and working this muscle and having courage, it's literally a muscle that you need to learn to work. It's your fifth chakra. And it's you exerting your will in a loving way against somebody else's will. So it's a matter of will, right? Because people will try to get whatever they can get from you. It's basically, I feel like we're just a bunch of bumper cars out here bumping against each other with each other's agenda, right? So you being really clear in what you need and what you don't need and what works for you and what doesn't work for you, instead of doing passive aggressive behavior or silent treatment, you're blocking your fifth chakra. Have the courage to get the words and understand how to communicate what you need. So you can just work this chakra right here, literally singing, chanting, but also having the courage to speak your truth, but in a loving way, by accessing your core needs. Someone's always late, you just, say, listen, it really doesn't work for me to have to wait here half an hour, and maybe you're not even going to end up showing. What I really need is timeliness and reliability. So next time we meet, would you be willing to be on time? Does that work for you? So that's much better than, you're such a jerk, I just can't even believe that you're always late. I can never rely on you. So that's the way we communicate. That doesn't work for setting healthy boundaries. That creates barricades. That puts another person on the defensive. So the only one that's going to really look out for you is you. And you do that by opening up that fifth chakra and speaking your truth. So how do you do that? And that leads me right into number 3, which is you need to create a deeper relationship with yourself. Have you ever been in a situation where you're thrown all over the place? Like you're trying to please this person, then you're trying to please that person, and you just feel like you're not grounded because you're trying to do too many things to accommodate too many different people. That's a time when you really need to slow down, close your eyes, and center yourself and get connected to your core need. What is it that I really need? And if you get connected to your core needs, our society thinks that, you're selfish or you're needy. Well, needs are normal and natural. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to set healthy boundaries in your relationships, is to get connected to your core needs. So, setting a healthy boundary, for example, understanding, like if you have a partner that you're living with and that they're messy and you can't stand that they're leaving socks or laundry all over the place, or leave books and, never help with the dishes or whatever. Instead of complaining to that person, you really need to get centered and understand, what is it that I really need? Chances are you really need cleanliness. You need orderliness. Those are important to you. But you need to get connected to that, and you need to embody it and know that, I'm worthy of having an orderly environment where I live. It's really important to me. Then when you start embodying that idea, I really want cleanliness and I really want orderliness in my home. I really want peace and quiet. Then you can have a conversation without blame, without shame, and say to your partner, cleanliness is really important to me. Orderliness in my home environment is really important to me. Is it important to you? I'm just curious. Maybe it isn't. Then you're going to have to reassess the situation on how important that cleanliness is for you and what you really need to live in harmony and peace. But they might say, yeah, it is. Or they might say, yeah, it is, but I expect you to do it all. Then you have to really reassess also. But maybe then, in that curiosity and getting connected to that core need for cleanliness, just having an open dialogue, how can, and they might say, yeah, I really would like that too. Well, how can we co-create that together? I know with one of my partners, we used to do a CD clean. We'd put one CD on, and during that music time, we'd just clean the house together and get it all cleaned up. So be creative, be loving, be open-hearted, get connected to you, and speak your truth. Open up your fifth chakra, get a deeper relationship with yourself, and understand and embody your core needs. And then understand what is a healthy yes and a healthy no. And do not say yes when you really mean no. I hope this has been helpful. Check out the actual article, the link that I have to this video, because it goes into detail on these subjects. And I also have an interview with a woman that talks about consent. So check out the article. I think you'll find it very helpful. And thanks for listening. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.